Hello again, my friends, and welcome back to our archives. We've been expecting you. The Sith Order ranks their members in much of the same way that the Jedi do, even paralleling them for the most part, with the Sith apprentices being more akin to Jedi Padawans, Acolytes akin to Jedi Knights, and Lords to Masters. Of course though, it depends on which Sith you ask, as some insist that the title of Sith Master and Sith Lord are different. The Sith also completely eschew the youngling stage, jumping straight into apprentice for simplicity's sake. However, the topic of this video is actually concerning that of the Sith Acolyte. Despite being the counterpart to the Jedi Knight, Acolytes tend to be on a very different level in their training when compared to that of the Jedi. In fact, we can go back and look at several cases where Sith apprentices and Acolytes have bested even the greatest Jedi Masters. So today, my friends, we are going to open up and compare some holocrons to determine why it seems that Acolytes are oftentimes stronger than Jedi Masters. First though, according to our data chart, many of you that have entered our archives have not yet subscribed to our order, so if you've been enjoying the daily holocron openings, reach out with the Force and crush that subscribe button. It is your destiny. The Sith Acolyte as a rank is very often overlooked, mostly because by the time of the Rule of Two, the rank of Acolyte was more or less obsolete. In the Rule of Two era, the apprentice will stay that until they kill their master and claim that title as their own, bypassing any need for a middle rank. However, back in the days of the Old Republic, when the Sith Order was widespread and more uniform, they used the rank of Acolyte as a way to buff out their armies. Most tend to believe that the Acolyte is just the Sith variant of the Jedi Knight, but this isn't quite so clear and cut or as accurate as some believe. The Jedi Knights take up the majority of the ranks in the Jedi Order, as that position is the most desirable. Many times, Jedi are completely comfortable remaining in the rank of Knight, since that is where most of their hands-on Jedi activity is going to be, not all of them desiring to ever become Masters. However, Sith are far more ambitious, and the rank of Acolyte is more of an impediment to them rather than an achievement. Sith desired the rank of Master or Lord. They want nothing less, and will make sure that they do anything they can to prove themselves worthy of attaining that coveted title. You would be hard-pressed to find any Sith that had achieved anything notable while holding the rank of Acolyte. If anything, the Sith consider it as an insult, and feel like they've been placed in some sort of purgatorial hold pen to keep them from the rank of Master or Lord. The way the Sith train their apprentices is very different than how the Jedi do their Padawans. Sith apprentices aren't glued to their masters like the Jedi are in their training years. In fact, the bulk of a Sith apprentice's training happens while they're away from their master in the field. Each Sith Lord teaches their disciple differently, but generally speaking, the MO for the Dark Masters is to train up their apprentices in the basics and then throw them to the wolves, similar to that of the Spartans. If their apprentice survives and makes it out of their first test, the master will teach them a little bit more and then throw them to the wolves yet again. Because of this, the apprentice is very invested in succeeding, as the consequence of failure usually presents itself in the form of either death via the challenge itself, or torture and later death at the hands of their master. Sith believe this method of harsh training makes their apprentices stronger by leading them along, giving them only a little bit at a time. It feeds their hunger for more knowledge and more power, and it also keeps the master alive longer. Even back before the days of the Rule of Two being implemented, the tendency for apprentices to strike down their masters was pretty high, and I theorize this was to avoid being placated with the dreaded rank of Acolyte and skipping straight to Master. In reality, Sith apprentices are on the skill level and power level of a typical Jedi Knight. This, of course, like all things concerning Force wielders, is a case-by-case basis, but it is far more likely that a Sith apprentice will easily triumph over a Jedi Padawan and meet their match against a Jedi Knight. This is because their hands-on training from their continual trials by fire give them the survival instincts and know-how of a battle-hardened warrior. By contrast though, Jedi Padawans are tugged around by their masters on a leash. These are strong words perhaps, but true when you think about how their training works and functions. Of course, this is because a Jedi Master is there not only to teach their student, but actively demonstrate to them how a Jedi is to conduct themselves in the public eye. However, while the roles and interests of a Jedi Master and a Sith Lord are starkly different, the proof is in the pudding when it comes to the effectiveness of their training. By the time they are a fully formed Jedi Knight, a Jedi will have learned diplomacy, social, and combative problem-solving skills among their combat training and control of the Force. The Sith Acolyte, however, will have long had these skills down during apprenticeship due to their life or death nature of the missions that they would have been dispatched on by their cruel masters. An Acolyte knows the ins and outs of lightsaber combat, subterfuge, espionage, Force engagement in social circumstances, intense survival training, and most importantly, their foundational knowledge of the dark side will have increased exponentially. The typical Sith Acolyte is a league ahead of a Jedi Knight when it comes to knowledge of the Force, especially in combat circles. In this way, a Sith Acolyte has the combat abilities of a typical Jedi Master. To go even a step further, Acolytes are often even more powerful than Jedi Masters if said Master does not specifically specialize in combat. Many consular Jedi Masters have been bested by Sith apprentices or Acolytes over the years. By now, most Sith Acolytes will have learned advanced Force techniques such as Force Lightning or Force Repulse, as well as having a very high familiarity with telekinesis and even Sith magic. By contrast, there are some Jedi Masters that still sometimes have issues deflecting blaster bolts from a gunslinger with a decent shot. Just look to Coleman Trebor in Attack of the Clones, a Master of Form 3 Sarisu who was killed by Jango Fett. Speaking of the Acolytes and apprentices though, two excellent examples from the Rule of Two era about this phenomenon are Ventress and Maul. Both of them weren't referred to as Acolytes specifically, but as assassins. Nevertheless, while they may not have had that title, they served the essential function of an Acolyte of the Old Republic. Neither of their masters ever intended for them to progress beyond what they were, and they both had the capabilities of a full-fledged Sith. Both of them had been able to either contend with or utterly destroy Jedi of all ranks when they fought. Ventress very frequently fought both Anakin and Obi-Wan in lightsaber combat, sometimes at the same time. Both Anakin and Obi-Wan were renowned for their dueling capabilities within the wider order, and there were many times when Ventress dueled them that they were on the back foot. Just how impressive is that of an Acolyte? Competing with the Chosen One and a Jedi Master. This is not of course to say that Ventress is more powerful than either Obi-Wan or Anakin. It's simply to illustrate the point what an Acolyte is capable of. Ventress even nearly killed Luminara Unduli in single combat, and managed to severely wound her. Luminara, if you remember, is not just a Jedi Master, but a High Council member. Darth Maul, while he doesn't have the best of luck in duels, did kill Master Qui-Gon Jinn, a powerful Jedi Master in his own right, and the apprentice to Count Dooku, whose reputation requires zero explanation. We unfortunately don't get to hear much about the Sith Acolytes in the Old Republic era though, as they are often overlooked and treated as dark side foot soldiers. Most of the notable Sith are apprentices first before jumping into the status of a Lord, because of course the status of an Acolyte is something that was frowned upon. All of this of course stems from the fact and the key differences between a Sith and a Jedi. A perfect Jedi requires knowledge and more enlightenment in the Force, while an Acolyte, by contrasting nature, grows in power by studying the combative gifts of the Force. So this is not to say that one way is more valuable than the other, but this is absolutely the explanation why Sith Acolytes can even dominate Jedi Masters in combat. If the Jedi Master did not focus on combat at all, and comes up against a Sith Acolyte who that has been their sole focus, the Jedi Master is in a lot of trouble. Just to note some of the most powerful Sith Acolytes, again, these are individuals that would dominate a Jedi Master, but do not have the rank of Master themselves. Characters that we mentioned, such as Savage Opress, Asajj Ventress, and even others such as Starkiller. All of this goes to say that if the Acolyte series remains true, then whoever is indeed the Sith Acolyte should be incredibly powerful in the Force, and could by the end of even the first season, if they begin their training, contend with the likes of a fully formed Jedi Knight. But my friends and fellow Acolytes, what do you think about this? Are you hoping that we will get to see more of a power display in the Acolyte series, and get to see what this Sith rank truly means? Let us know in the comment section down below in our archives, and as always, may the Force be with you, and I hope to see you soon.